I'm making an entire video about a new optic in Black Ops 7 because Treyarch never ceases to confuse me. Hi, this is the One Boom, and today we're talking about the Fang Hoverpoint ELO site. I was pretty happy when I heard that Black Ops 7 was going to be adapting the essentially aftermarket parts system of Modern Warfare 3. That game had amazing player retention, and mostly due to these weekly challenges and new attachments and universal things we get to play with every single week. It's awesome. But one of my issues with Modern Warfare 3, because of course the One Boom has issues with Modern Warfare 3, is that some attachments they added were just sort of better than everything else. They were just, superior. But it made sense because they had all of those Modern Warfare 2 attachments that were inferior, that were useless, and only helpful in very particular scenarios. I love Modern Warfare 3, but the game was a smorgasbord mess of attachments and crisscrossing guns and conflicting metas. So sometimes it felt like they were adding attachments in MW3 that were just designed to solve an issue or fill a gap, or just be better than the attachments they weren't willing to rework. Honestly, that was fine with me because that game, it was an impossible project. The fact that that game is as good as it is impressive. Black Ops 7 decided to preserve its own identity by not doing carry forward, only with very select score streaks and stuff later, post-launch, just equipment and score streaks, really, and now we have a couple maps coming over, but that's basically it. So I was hoping that the attachments and things they were going to add in these weekly updates were going to be more unique, and while some of them definitely have been, other ones, it's sort of like, yeah, the burst weapon's now fully automatic, or now you can dual wield these two guns. I'm not complaining, it's just, I want it to be a bit more. But one of the things I really didn't like in Modern Warfare 3 was the addition of the Jack Glassless optic, which was just a recoil stabilization, or I think firing aim stability increasing red dot that hurt your aim down sight speed by about, I think it was like 4 milliseconds, maybe 5 or 6. It was very low. And that game already had an issue where you could stack multiple attachments on certain guns and zero out their recoil, and reducing all of the sort of visual bob and left and right shake on the gun, and I mean all of it, down to nothing pretty much, just made the game feel very dopeless, and a lot of meta weapons and pubs were utilizing these attachments that just sort of made the game feel like not itself anymore. And now Black Ops 7 did the same thing. They just added a sight that does the same thing. It reduces your recoil variance, it increases recoil stability, is a very tall optic that has a better frame than pretty much any iron sight in the game, and even better than the ELO sight that everybody's already running. I love this sight. This sight makes certain guns that were just a little too shaky or just a little too inaccurate for me, and just made them better. Like running this on the Peacekeeper feels amazing. The Peacekeeper, a lot of its recoil is visual, and once you tie down its first shot recoil and its horizontal recoil, the only thing left to do is to stabilize that little bit of wobble, and this sight does that really well. I started throwing it on other guns as well. You guys are going to see that in gameplay commentaries I upload later. I'm not going to show all of them right now, but in the future, and I think even a couple of videos I uploaded the last 2 days had this optic in it. And you're going to see this optic a lot because they basically added a solution to a problem without enough of a downside in a game that essentially has one of the most pre-aim, aim-walking metas of all time. Now, I'll admit, I did watch Exclusive Ace's video on this. Shout out to Exclusive Ace. He was pointing out that this attachment is going to hurt your ADS time by about 14 to 16 milliseconds depending on the gun. And he said that's not always something he's willing to sacrifice. But in a game with so many other free attachments that just increase the gun's speed, whether it's the barrel, rear grip, or laser, plus the fact that the game has a pre-aim, aim-walking movement speed meta, that's just not an issue. Giving me a bigger sight picture and a more accurate shot when I'm doing full auto sprays with something like a Peacekeeper, an M15, or an LMG, or whatever, it's just a no-brainer. I'm just gonna do it. Because the thing about recoil stabilization is that it's encouraging you to never hold off the trigger. If you're stabilized throughout your entire volley of shots, you're not encouraged to tap fire or slow down, which is something this game passively makes you not want to do anyway, because aim down sight has a hidden mechanic where you're not fully aim down sight when you're aim down sight. You need the Strelic laser for that. And there's the invisible kick reset speed that just tricks people into thinking their recoil is going to be back down to 0 because they stopped firing, but they actually had to wait another 100 milliseconds, and their next volley of fire is going to pick up where the last volley of fire left off throwing off their aim entirely. So the game already passively encourages you to A, already be aiming down sight, and B, just follow through with your entire spray of ammunition, because resetting is actually not resetting, and ADSing has a hidden mechanic where your aim down sight is not fully aim down sight right when you think it's going to be. These aren't horrible game-ruining mechanics that are going to affect every gunfight, but they are there, and they just serve my point that because of the aim-walking underbarrel, the aim-walking stock, and how these maps are laid out, it is an aim-walking player's paradise. And now we have an optic that encourages you to hold your trigger even longer, which is great because the extended mags in this game don't have any downsides. I can run a 45-round magazine on an M15 with this sight, have no recoil stabilization issues, while I dump 45 rounds of accurate fire at you. And if I combine this with an underbarrel that's going to stabilize that more, if I'm combining that with a muzzle brake and the FMJ ammo, I love the M15 if you can't tell, I'm just going to have more success than you are. I'm going to have to work less hard than you are if you're dumping a whole magazine of M15 at me with iron sights or the ELO. Does this matter horribly? Not really. In fact, I would say that you only really have a 10% advantage at certain ranges. Do I know that for sure? No, I'm kind of pulling that number out of thin air. But what I'm saying is that it's just kind of better pretty much all the time with no downside that I'm really going to notice with the way the attachments and meta work in this game. I was already building my guns for aim down sight time and recoil control, and I usually use an optic, so might as well just use the optic that's better than the other ones. I should already be ADS while rounding a corner or pieing a line of sight anyway. This game has unnecessary kick reset speed, ADS, and recoil stabilization mechanics, and now you just added something that reduces that. I'm gonna use it. So I kind of dislike this. I'm gonna use it, I do like using it, I liked unlocking it, I like using it, but in the grand context of the game, there's now just an optic that isn't very attractive looking in my opinion, but just feels like a no-brainer to use. Anyway, don't let the aim down sight speed hurt you, just throw on something to make up for that aim down sight speed reduction, run extended mags, and especially if you're a gunfighter wildcard user, if you main the gunfighter wildcard, this attachment will never bother you. You'll have so many different ways to make up for its shortcomings. Sorry, its singular shortcoming. And you should just use it all the time, frankly. Now, how would I fix this? I would have it reduce your aim walking movement speed or even aim walking steadiness, so that even if it's helping your recoil steadiness, it's not helping you in those strafing gunfights that, you know, a lot of people are just doing all the time. People are rounding corners already aiming at you in this game constantly. I think this attachment should sort of maybe encourage people to not do that as much, and if anything, it should increase your aim down sight speed. That would have actually impacted the meta in the opposite direction that it's going and could have shaken up the gameplay a little bit. But until that is changed, or if something like that ever occurs, it's just like the best optic to use. You should run it, and that's my opinion. You watched a whole opinionated video about an optic in Black Ops 7. I hope you feel good about yourself. I don't. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.